I'm CTO at Stability. My job is to look after, all of the engineering and platform development that we're doing to bring all of the models and wonderful research that the company's doing to developers like yourselves, to companies, and just generally to make this creative technology available to everyone. So I'm going to give you a few quick slides on Stability, tell you a bit about what we're about and who we are, and then I'll hand over to the next speaker. So we've got three kind of technology pillars in the company. Research, which is the team that's developing all of the models, the foundation models that you're seeing, like Stable Diffusion, working on the process that we go through to create that, from labeling to training and evaluation. We have our Applied ML team that's working on taking those models and making them even better with fine-tuning and taking all kinds of additional data, reinforcement learning, and applying that to those existing foundation models. And then engineering, which is all of the API, all of the high-performance cluster and data teams underneath that are helping to make sure that the rest of the company is able to function and train. And the API obviously is to bring that to the wider audience. So it's been a pretty incredible 9 months since Stability kind of exploded onto the scene with Stable Diffusion. And this is really the beginning. When we launched Stable Diffusion, the inference time for an image was around about 5 seconds. So that was 5 seconds on like an A100 or A40. And we've just seen that time go right down to now, like, people able to infer at like 1 second for an image, and similar kind of reduction in time for other types of modality. And that's because the models are getting more lightweight, the inference methods are getting more efficient with better samplers and optimization techniques that we're using on things like the API, which you'll be using to compile the models and make them much quicker. So Stability.ai, our kind of whole ethos is around open source. All of our models that we train in research will become open source. Stable Diffusion is a great example of that. We've got loads of variants of Stable Diffusion, which I'll talk a little bit about now. We've got loads more coming, some really exciting models coming up over the next month or two. And then other models as well outside Stable Diffusion, like Deep Floyd, OpenClip through Lion, Eluther with our language models, and other things. So some of the things that we make, Stable Diffusion, you will have heard of. Deep Floyd is another image model that we're going to be releasing very, very soon in the next few weeks, hopefully. We're developing a chat model, Stable Chat, which is based upon a range of stable language models, which we're going to be open sourcing. And then we have divisions working on music, text to video, and text to 3D. And you're going to see all of these coming out this year. Stable music, we've got a whole division called Harmoni. They've got a Discord. Many of our groups started out, as Discord communities, groups of people just like yourselves working on cool projects, trying to take academic papers, turning them into, research training projects. Stability then providing the compute for that. Stable music's one of those. Harmoni is the Discord community. They're training loads of different models that are able to generate music, generate audio, both short form and long form. And we've got some really exciting stuff coming up there. Stable video, I'm going to talk about our animation API, but then also we have a video diffusion model that we're training at the moment, and a whole new team working on that, and we'll be more information coming up with that soon. And then Stable 3D, some of you might be familiar with things like Dream Fusion, taking images from the Stable Diffusion API or Stable Diffusion model, and then using NeRF to transform them into real 3D objects. So working on every domain. And it's all about the community. So we've got an incredible community that's emerged from Stable Diffusion. We've got the Discord Stable Diffusion community, which are now over 150,000 members. We've got a huge Reddit community, 125,000 subscribers. The Stable Diffusion GitHub is like huge, 52,000 stars. Obviously, Hugging Face is a big element of that, with all of our models being hosted Hugging Face. And then things like the Stable Diffusion diffusers pipeline, and the other kind of code libraries that Hugging Face is developing. So huge community being developed there. Deep Floyd, a little bit on Deep Floyd, which is our upcoming model, which is going to be based on Google Imagen. This is in just getting prepped for open source release at the moment, and can generate text. It generates at 1024 natively. It's a cascaded diffusion model with 3-stage inference from a 64-stage first inference, and then upscalers taking it up to higher resolution. So super exciting model coming up soon. I'm going to hand you a bit later on to Connor from the API team, who's going to be giving you a bit of information about the platform site. The platform site is something we developed with all of the documentation around the API. It's got SDKs, TypeScript, Python, language support, different interfaces for gRPC and REST, and then obviously all the support for the different features in the API, from in-painting to upscaling and all the other things there. We'll also be supporting the animation API in the platform. This allows you to take images and then interpolate prompts over time and generate animation, transformed images in different kinds of transforms, from 2D to 3D, and different methods there. And looking forward to seeing what people can do with that. And then obviously fine tuning is a big element of what people can do. So interested to see what people do with fine tuning, taking a set of input images and then putting subjects or objects or even styles as concepts into the model. So adding your own personalization to the model. Obviously a really powerful feature. And then we've got integrations that we've been working on. So some of you will have seen the Blender integration. We've also got integrations with Photoshop and Google Workspace. And these are getting a lot of popularity, and great to see adoption of the API into different platforms. Dream Studio, something that Connor himself has worked very hard on over the last few months, is our kind of UI to the models. And we just launched a new version of that. So you can go there and check it out if you want a really easy interface just to generate images and test some prompts. You can try the new Excel model, which will be available obviously in the API for this hackathon. Excel is our latest model. It's about 4 times bigger than the original Stable Diffusion. It's a 2.3 billion parameter model. It's aesthetically conditioned, so you're going to get like beautiful images out of the box with the model. It's easier to prompt, so you don't need these huge 2 or 3 sentence prompts to get nice images out. So yeah, it's a really great model, and this is our kind of first release of that, which we're just previewing in the API, and then we'll be releasing an open source version in the next month or 2 as we get to a state with it where we're happy to put it out. Just a couple of examples of some of the things that you can do with the different Stable Diffusion models. So we have a depth to image model. This takes a grayscale image representing a depth image, and then you can use that to condition the output to maintain structure in the output, which is a super cool feature. That's just an example of that being used to generate using different prompts, but maintaining the structure of the input. Then obviously other examples wouldn't be replete without our founder Imad. This is taking his image, getting a depth extraction from that with a depth model with something like Midas or Adabins, and then using that depth extraction to then use the depth to image model to generate images in the same structure as an input image. So that's a nice little pipeline that connects 2 or 3 different models together. Obviously, in-painting is another great example where you can take an image and then mask certain parts of it and replace content using a prompt, but retain the other parts of the image. So that's a really powerful technique that we're seeing lots of examples of in different industries, and I'm sure some of you will be using that in the hackathon. And then there's just some examples of like what Stable Diffusion can do, taking Game of Thrones, but wanting to see it in the form of Japanese drama. So these are just a couple of images of that idea, which is a pretty cool thing. So it's great for storytelling, concepting, ideation. People love using it in film production pipelines to help them make storyboards more quickly. Storyboards is something that I love, and the idea of using Stable Diffusion as something that powers more quickly the process of storytelling is super cool. And then just my sort of last slide, what we're seeing with Stable Diffusion, especially being driven by the open source community, is more controllability. So We've come from, a very well-known, paradigm of using text to guide the model, and now we're seeing things like ControlNet or T2I, the adapters from Tencent, which allow you to control through different kinds of adapters from depth, but also pose, getting the edges from images. Lots of different ways of controlling the output of the model. And when you combine that not just with image generation, but with animation, you get some super powerful ways to generate completely new styles of content and control them much more precisely. So hopefully we'll see some examples of that being used as well. So the future of creativity is already here, but the people that have really driven this whole thing forward has been the community. It's been people like you working, on Reddit and Discord, and these incredible communities that have, supported groups of people coming together to do incredible things. It's amazing to see. I'm sure you're all watching Twitter every day and the incredible things that are being created. Our job at Stability is to make the foundation for that and build all the research that can be then given away to people like yourselves that can do incredible things with it, taking it to market, but also just using it for creative enjoyment and just for enjoying the magic of image generation and just generative AI in general. So I hope you all have an amazing week. It's been great to be involved in this hackathon. Thank you to LabLab for organizing it. You guys have done an incredible job. Thank you to everyone that's involved, and good luck. Hope